Federal government optimistic Nigeria will export agricultural produce and products in future. Court affirms powers of Nigeria's midstream and downstream regulatory authority on statutory levies. Nigeria's Super Eagles lose to Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire in AFCON final. And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the role of states in national development. After attaining independence, Nigeria's northern, western and eastern regions metamorphosed into 12 states. By 1976, the number rose to 19. 2 more were added in 1987, 15 more in 1996, as well as the Federal Capital Territory. A long journey from there. Yeah, in 1979, local government areas were also established as the third tier of government, all in a bid to aid rapid development in the country. For decades, states have received a huge portion of the national revenue, about half. But reports and data have revealed that this tier of government has not delivered commensurate services to Nigerians. These reports also point accusing fingers at states for rendering the 774 local government areas ineffective. The Nigerian constitution clearly spells out the roles of states in many sectors herein. Oh yes, and for instance, the collapse of primary and secondary schools nominally run by local government areas or states forced the federal government to intervene through the Universal Basic Education Program to reduce illiteracy. Yes, indeed, and many states are yet to issue complete audited accounts on spending and federal allocation meant to supplement revenue states generate from taxes on personal income, property and other sources. They've become the major source of revenue in many states. Now, this is gradually replacing internally generated revenue, which falls short of covering personnel costs. Recall that the fall in global prices of oil made many states in Nigeria almost insolvent, necessitating bailouts from the federal government. Many states have also been accused of setting up expensive projects which they pass on to the federal government to fund or abandon when funding runs out. Recently, the current government channeled palliatives through state governments for distribution, but brows are still being raised over gaps in the process. Indeed, and in all this, though states have received knocks on non-performance, a few have stood out. But the general performance of states in the overall growth and development of Nigeria is rated low. So true. How much more can states do to help develop Nigeria? How can they close the gaps that only they can fill if Nigeria must grow and develop as desired? We have a panel of guests joining us in the course of the program to speak to the issues. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. It's a Monday. I'm Henry John. And I'm Juma Yusuf. We are reaching you live on the network service of the NTA in the first edition of the week. In a moment, we'll begin with highlights of the morning news, business news, and much later, newspaper review. Let's join Comfort Amodu for the morning news. Hello, Comfort. Good morning.
Lovely morning, Juma and Yenri. Good morning, Nigerians. President Bola Tinubu has approved the rebate on 2024 pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia to cushion the effect of rising foreign exchange on the charges. President Tinubu revealed this when he received the leadership of Global Tijaniya movement led by Khalifa Sheikh Mohammed to the State House.
We will be able to feed ourselves. We are going to cultivate more farmlands. We are going to equip farmers with low interest or no interest loans. We are going to bring tractors into this economy. We are going to invest in irrigations for this country. Nigeria will become net exporters of food. We have paid for the insurance welfare, social welfare of the people, so that every citizen of this country will be insured for health problems.
In a far-reaching major judicial decision of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, PIA, a Nigerian Federal High Court has affirmed the power of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to impose and collect levies on petroleum products sold in Nigeria. In an action filed by the HRS Nigeria Limited and INT Towers Limited against NMDPRA, the plaintiffs argued that they are not liable to pay statutory 0.5% levies for the authorities fund and the midstream and downstream gas infrastructure fund, respectively, on petroleum products they import. According to the plaintiffs, their products are not sold in Nigeria but rather used for their respective business operations and therefore not in the category of petroleum products subject to levies. They also sought the court to declare two key regulations for the implementation of the PIA void and illegal: the Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Operations Regulations 2023. Delivering judgment in the suit on 5th February 2024, Justice Nyako Eko of the Federal High Court, Abuja Division, agreed with the arguments of the NMDPRA counsel, Dr. Emeka Akagbogu, and affirmed the validity of the Midstream and Downstream Operations Regulations 2023, as well as the Petroleum Transportation and Shipment Regulations 2023. And the court held that the regulations neither overreach nor conflict with sections 47(2)(c) and 57(7)(a) of the PIA, which provide for payment of a 1% levy on the petroleum products and natural gas solid in Nigeria. And the court found that the definition of sold in Nigeria covers three distinct situations where the goods are sold in Nigeria or its territorial waters. In other news, the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLA, has intercepted tons of illicit drugs in various parts of the country in its fight against trafficking and consumption of illegal substances. And the National Executive Committee of the Accord Party has elected legal practitioner Maxwell Mbudem as National Caretaker Chairman. The composition of the Caretaker Committee followed the expiration of Mohammed Lawal Nalado-led Caretaker Committee.
Election of another Caretaker Committee for the next 6 months, as the party is not yet ready.
President Bola Tinubu salutes the Super Eagles of Nigeria for their tenacious performance in the final of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. President Tinubu commends the team, the coach, the crew, and the entire management team for their hard work, assiduity, and sacrifice to come this far in the tournament. Acknowledging the hurdles they consistently surpass with steadily improving performance as they pull through the finals. And the president urges Nigerians to be of good cheer, emphasizing that we won a great victory in the hearts of Africa and the world by our grit, vigor, and determination in the field of play. That's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Henry and Jeremiah after this break.
All right, up next is business news.
Your noise is too much there now.
But they didn't even do the...
There's too much noise.
To improve on this feat in 2024, the service has launched the time reduced study, a systematic and standardized approach deployed to measure duration from the arrival of goods to the point of clearance. It is a tool the Comptroller General of Customs says is developed by the World Customs Organization to promote the growth of international trade given the dynamic nature of global business.
TRS promises to take a different dimension, aligning effectively with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration's policy targets aimed at promoting effectiveness and efficiency in all ramifications, including, but not limited, to trade facilitation and economic reforms. This methodology that we are using offers a systematic and precise alternative, enabling us to identify areas for improvement with accuracy.
For other partners of the service, it is a long walk to freedom, and the service is on the path to greatness.
Nigeria is now in competition with the rest of Africa, and you might even say the rest of the world, to take advantage of the available market in Africa.
The customs service wouldn't have thought of a better time than now to implement this TRS. For obvious reasons, this will come with very great benefits to our nation.
The service says it will replicate this in other seaports and land borders nationwide. With Business News, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
Thanks, Vivian, for the business update. Up next is newspaper review.
We got a newspaper reviewer here, Chukudi Okulubaja. How are you doing this morning? How was your weekend? How did the Super Eagles make you feel last night?
Yeah,
Yes, I was just very high over Arsenal beating West Ham 6-0. So I said the icing on the cake would come up at night, and that would celebrate beyond 1 in the night.
Unfortunately,
that was what somebody was saying on Facebook. That
you came low.
That's before I saw the Ivorian invaders and the Nigerian sitters and watchers.
Yes.
I don't know what happened yesterday. It was not just it at all.
It just wasn't it.
It was not just it at all.
You remember I told you on Thursday, I said they shouldn't go in with tue much confidence.
Yes.
Thinking it's going to be a walkover.
I don't know. You know, when
because the Ivorians had the game, ball possession and everything. They had it.
No, actually, the most thing working for them yesterday was the crowd.
Yeah.
Did you see that stadium?
Yeah,
come on. I was quite proud of Africa seeing that stadium. Alassane Ouattara and his team have really done a good job. That's the president of the Côte d'Ivoire. And I was also full of respect for whatever happened. I was full of respect for Ekong, the Nigerian captain.
He won the best player of the tournament.
Oh,
yes, he did.
Look, that man, you could see the discipline. It's playing out of it. That's how I want Nigerians, whether they're in their workplace or whatever. You know, this Niger thing that makes
the god of soccer just wasn't with us yesterday.
I don't know whether it was the god of soccer. At church.
We didn't pray.
At church yesterday, our church leader was talking about people praying to God, and I said, as I usually say, the other people, not the children of God. You know, I have this way of looking at it, you know. But let's talk about the positives from that competition yesterday. There were 2 officiating ladies there. One was helping with VAR. The other one was a line person. So it has given more prominence to women on the African continent. It's never been that good. We have to really thank God for that.
Okay, so maybe you should let the women lead the papers now. Let's take a look at what the headlines have. right. Looking at this Nigeria, the lead story here says insecurity. National Assembly working on legal framework to create state police. Right. Senate leader says it will help in combating activities of bandits, kidnappers, and terrorists. Details on page 2 of this Nigeria. Of course, the news everywhere, since Friday, the crash of a beautiful dream, Wigwe. How U.S. helicopter crash claimed Herbert's wife, son, Ogumbajo. Tinubu, Macron, Okonjo-Iweala, prominent leaders mourn the passing of Access Bank chief. Very sad development in all the papers this morning. Away from that, we have Nigeria has capacity to repay $2.82 billion debt. That's coming from IMF. Of course, right here in this Nigeria, AFCON final. Brave Super Eagles win silver in tension-soaked match against Cote d'Ivoire. And that's on page 30. Finally, from this Nigeria, Serap sues Akpabio Abbas over failure to clarify details of National Assembly budget. You want to find out what that's about? Page 7 has all the news. Looking at the Daily Times quickly now, the lead story here is on hardship. Pressure mounts on federal government to review economic policies. Above that, we have the story on Wigwe also here. And next to that, we have FG approves military base in Plateau. Below the picture story, we have blame Buhari for economic hardship, and that is credited to Sanusi. And finally, we have Eurocopter EC-130 and history of many crashes. And that's still on Wigwe. So that's it. Jume, what do you have?
Yeah, I have the Daily Trust and the new Nigerian News Direct. Let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. High cost of living, pray, repent. Sultan tells Nigerians. High cost of living, pray, repent. Sultan tells Nigerians. You find the details on page 7. Nigeria experiencing stalled per capita growth, poverty, food insecurity. That's coming from the IMF. You find the details on page 23. Alleged killing of graduate sparks protest in Kaduna community. Details on page 3. And at the bottom plate of the Daily Trust newspaper, Forex crisis, Hajj registration below 50% as payment closes today. With riders, high fare will prevent Nigeria from filling slots. Low number, not peculiar to Nigeria. That's coming from NACON. And headlines in the Daily Trust newspaper, federal workers in 90 MDAs yet to get January salaries. Federal workers in 90 MDAs yet to get January salaries. That's on page 6. And the picture story you see there, Cote d'Ivoire overpower Nigeria to lift AFCON 2023 trophy. You can see the pictures celebration as the match went on. Let's quickly go to the Nigerian News Direct, and above the masthead, national shock as Access Holdings confirms death of Wigwe. Find details on page 3. Nance move to halt launch of student loan scheme. Details on page 3 also. AFCON final, Ivory Coast Elephants stomp Super Eagles. Sensational, headlines there. You find, 2-1. You find details on page 2. And below the masthead, amid hardship, IMF urges FG to completely halt payment of fuel, electricity subsidies. Details on page 2. Indefinite judicial strike, Adeleke gives resolution committee 7 days ultimatum to develop solutions to crisis. You find the details on page 3. Divestment, India remains committed to investing in Nigeria. Consul General, details on page 10. And the picture story you see there, the Registrar General CEO CSC Hussaini Ishaq Magaji with the Honorable Minister for Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, at the kickoff of the registration process for 2 million small businesses in Abuja. Chukudi,
So let's start a bit earlier. We've mentioned the sports. Let's not go too much into it because there are other items. But it's understandable why Williams took the best goalkeeper.
Yes.
He's talked about 4 penalties, you know, throughout that tournament. People were saying Wabali was the real deal and all that. Well, love of country, love of our compatriots and all that.
Yes.
But I think Williams deserved it. Let's plan better next time. Nigeria has not done badly, come to think of it.
Yeah, they did.
We have tried. Silver is good, you know. So
But
that's
they
it.
actually expected us to get that far.
IMF is asking Nigeria to do more to take off the subsidies they see in fuel and then, you know, look.
But is there subsidy on fuel?
Well,
there's no subsidy.
Actually, the other time, the World Bank said it should be something like 720. The
Per litre.
Yeah, per litre. They did say that. But the point I'm making is this. Why do you want to cry more than the bereaved? The federal government says there is no subsidy.
Exactly.
For crying out loud, there is such a thing as national interest. And it's only a stupid country that would jettison national interest because some person is dictating how the economy should be from outside. You never really disobey the IMF, World Bank completely. Neither do you really obey them all the time.
Swallow everything.
It's always the happy medium.
Push down your throat.
So let the federal government continue their wisdom. If you know what Nigerians are going through now, I mean, somebody actually said, why float the single window foreign exchange regime? At the same time, you remove the fuel subsidy. Why didn't you stagger a bit and all that? I'm not an economist. I'm just saying what I heard. You know, journalists get to hear a lot of things. There's something here.
I hope you also heard that federal workers in 90 MDAs are yet to receive January salary.
I heard that, and I am telling federal workers that there is no way you can't be part of feeling what is happening now. So, as much as we want them to get paid, let them remember that what is happening to people out there would normally also happen to them. So let us show.
Is it touching on National Assembly members?
I don't know about National Assembly. Somebody told me something at the weekend which startled me. We'll talk about it some other day.
Yes.
But the point I'm making is it's hardship that is shared all over. But let the government please try to pay federal workers if that is exactly the case, because it's actually the money you spend on the market.
Exactly.
You understand? So you will empower the people if you're empowered.
Exactly.
So that's it. Now there's a sad one here. Killings. Okay, not sad one. It's laudable. Killings, Darian loves Tinubu for approving military barrack in Bokos. I'm very happy about this. All my time in Jos, I kept on lamenting a crisis that is completely avoidable. And the day it will happen because the people on the ground, the people living in Jos, natives of Jos, and the so-called settlers, I say so-called because to me, everybody who contributes to developing a place should have till they sit down.
Indigenization,
not much will happen.
Look at the indigenization
that is
policy,
the point.
yes.
Let them come to that knowledge and please mutually come together to say we want peace. But there's one here, students seek to kidnapping, banditry in Nasarawa tertiary institutions. I mentioned Nasarawa because just last week I drove to the NYSC secretariat there. God bless them there. Let me keep the story to myself. The road was, you understand? But these creeping cases of banditry, just 5 days after we came back, we heard that 3 soldiers and 1 vigilante, were killed and all that. Nasarawa should be spared that agony. Let life there be as clean as the road I drove through to Lafia.
Yes.
I think it's very necessary.
One thing I've noticed, as long as a state has natural resources, there's never peace. And I wonder why.
That's because that's because of the African man's greed. I kept on talking about Africa the other time. It is in Africa that things that would not cause issues. And the reason is simple. Tribe is there. They say religion. The religion is not really the issue. It's tribe.
It's tribe.
Tribe leads to nepotism. Nepotism leads to favoritism. Favoritism leads to unnaturalness. Unnaturalness brings about a distorted life and somebody suffers for the sins of other people. So let Africans agree that greed is not good. If you know the level of corruption, they say, is happening in the system, in procurement and all that. I don't know if it is true. It is again that, one, the institutions need to be strengthened to work better so that Chukwudi does not take brigandage into the civil service, so that I'm easily detected when I start an issue. Don't just trust people.
Yes.
Monitor them, watch them. That's the secret.
Yeah, Chukwudi, before we go, national shock.
Yes.
You know.
How about Wigwe?
Yes.
It's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. A friend was saying, oh, they went to relax. I said, will you stop that? Who would not want to
relax if
to go and relax
wasn't a
from
while.
the what
Yes,
we're going through
yes.
now? But then Jume, Nyere, and Chukwudi have to stay to, you know, keep the economy going in our own journalistic ways.
Yes.
It's really unfortunate. May their souls rest in perfect peace.
This weekend, I really do not know what to say about the kind of sad news, you know, from Wigwe's death, you know, his wife, his son, and then, of course, Ukumbajo. And then we moved on, you know, for us, you know, in the news department in NTA, a colleague lost his daughter. You know, it was very sad for me. I couldn't even watch the Super Eagles match because, you know, I was in pain. And then Super Eagles again lost. Well, I just hope that this weekend doesn't come back again.
You know, there's this English
it's gone and gone
it
forever.
Never rains, but it pours.
Olabode, we mourn with you, and may God give you,
God, what is happening? What have I done? But he knows everything.
Yes.
Olabode Arewa, the family of Wigwe will be consoled by the Almighty.
Yes, and the NTA family is also mourning with Olabode Arewa, and
the NTA family as well.
We pray God will give him the, you know, the strength to you know, I don't even know what to say.
Please, just
I don't even have the words myself.
Manage to extend the solace you give to the family, because the problem in our climb here is that a few days after death, a month, everybody goes to there and the family is left alone.
Left to grief. Yes.
So please keep it longer.
Yes. So Chukwudi, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks,
thank you, ladies. Thank you.
So we'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation on state and national development will begin. Don't go away.